Hello boys and girls, welcome to my channel. I'm the Obscure Joe PT, and for today I have here some sad news. So, welcome to Battlefield 5. Like usual, this game it is developed by DICE, and it is using Frostbite 3, which was supposed to be one of the most optimized engines out there, right? Well, not really anymore, I guess. So yeah, we are looking to the frame rate in here and we are getting around 20 frames per second and something lower than that. This is because of AMD Radeon Relive. This happened the same thing in Battlefield 1, the Relive in these specific Battlefield games, which I don't understand why consumes around 10 to 20 frames per second. But don't get me wrong, even without Relive this game performs awfully. So what you're going to see in here, it is the game performing under median settings, but even if I go with low settings the game performs really bad. So I decided to test the game in the same server at the median and also low settings, and yes, there is no mistake in here. In low settings I'm having worse performance than on median. I tried in the same server, okay, and the server was full with 64 players. I'm not sure what the hell did happen in here, okay, but the low settings really did perform worse than the median. I don't understand why, seriously, but it did happen, and I tried 2-3 times and the low settings was performing worse. I restarted the game, I restarted the PC, I made a lot of stuff, but the low settings always ended to perform worse than the median settings. I don't know how can I explain this. Seriously, I have the drivers updated, I have every stuff made as usual. But one of the things that I currently noticed is that my CPU usage was pretty much at 100%, and pretty much all the time I was having a massive GPU bottleneck. And no matter if I go in here to the resolution scaling and drop it down to 50% or 100, it doesn't really matter, because it is not the GPU fault, it is the CPU fault for not having a better frame rate. And this really pisses me off, because when consoles PS4 and Xbox One was released, they were all low-powered CPUs, and we know that. We know that our CPU in here, our Phenom II, have 9 years old, and that it is already surprising that we reach as far as it is. 9 years old, it is a lot. But still, so does the consoles. Consoles have old CPUs too, and weak ones in fact, and they all perform more and less the same under Battlefield games. Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1, and Battlefield 5 always played on consoles at 60 frames per second with drops for 40, sometimes even 38. But what happens in this CPU, in my Phenom II, in Battlefield 5, it is really bad. I have seen playthroughs in here, even with median settings, low settings, it doesn't matter. I have seen stuttering, stuff going down to 20 frames per second. People say that we can't compare consoles to PC, and yes, it's true, you can compare them, because consoles have access to stuff like low-level APIs like DirectX 12 and Vulkan, but it is much better than DirectX 12 and it is much better than Vulkan. Now this is what I think one of the major problems it is of this game it is. So yeah, Battlefield always pushed the limits of the CPU. Since Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 always was games that were very CPU bound. But since Battlefield 1 I started to think that Frostbite was demanding a little bit too much from the CPU. Battlefield 5 doesn't offer 60 frames per second all the time on the 2-year-old i5 CPU, a mainstream one, which is a little bit weird. You have pretty much the same frame rate as a console with a 2-year-old i5, which is 3, 4 or 5 times more powerful than a console. I'm not saying that Frostbite it is bad optimized at all. I think Frostbite it is very well optimized on the GPU front, but I think year after year, I think Frostbite, or at least on Battlefield games, it is running worse and worse for the CPU. And I don't understand seriously why. I understand they evolve the stuff, you have more assets on screen and stuff like that, But one of the things that I noticed is that if DirectX 12 it is being the limit in here, and if the consoles do use low-level APIs, why DICE and why EA Games don't apply money and DICE don't apply their knowledge to evolve the game to a decent DirectX 12? Because DirectX 12 in these Battlefield games, and even in Battlefield 1, it is performing horribly. I've tried Battlefield 4 with Mantle because I had an AMD GPU, and the game really performed a lot better in CPU bound scenarios. So when my CPU was struggling under Battlefield 4, when I enabled Mantle, the game delivered more 15 or 20 frames per second in those moments. So it was amazing, and it really makes the game much better and tells us that DICE have the competence and the mindset to develop to a low-level API. What I don't understand it is why Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5 perform so bad under DirectX 12. I tried this game under DirectX 12 just to try out, and the game just crashed on me. What the fuck is going on in here? I have developers in here, I have publishers in the gaming industry that barely have money to release their games, and their games barely sell that much. We have examples like Sniper Elite 4, like Strange Brigade, which is the same developers, the Rebellion, that are able to deliver Vulkan. They are able to deliver DirectX 12 with Ace SLI and Crossfire support and perform awesomely. We have Forza Horizon that have one of the best DirectX 12 implementations I ever seen. A fucking Pentium G can deliver more than 60 frames per second if you have the enough GPU. Same goes for the fucking Shadow of Tomb Raider, that even a Pentium G can deliver more than 60 frames per second in that game, if you are provided with the correct GPU. If you have enough GPU power, with a Pentium G you can have more than 60 frames per second. And what the fuck is going on with Battlefield for DirectX 12 being a shit? Okay, why consoles are able to deliver more performance under their low-level APIs, and on PC it is just a bullcrap optimization on the CPU front? I don't understand. But what I do understand is that we have small developers with much less budget to develop games being able to pull it off, okay, with good DirectX 12 implementation, good Vulkan. We have here EA Games full of fucking money and DICE full of fucking competence and can't deliver a good DirectX 12 implementation. You can say that Ubisoft is shit too because they don't have DirectX 12 and it is a very demanding CPU game. Well, yes, it is a very CPU demanding game. Assassin's Creed Odyssey and Origins are very CPU bound games, but the amount of detail they deliver, okay, it is simply amazing. And Battlefield, despite all the stuff going on, it is still bad optimized because consoles are able to deliver with shitty CPUs, okay, with shitty CPUs, and we are not. And it's not just a case of my CPU having 9 years old. Just like I told you, an old i5 CPU with 2 years old, which isn't old at all, okay, can't deliver 60 frames per second in this game too. So I'm massively disappointed with the CPU bound situation of this game, and so my recommendation for you, if you have a Phenom II, it is to not buy. My second suspect is that this game consumes too much VRAM and puts more load into the CPU. So probably if you have 2 GB of VRAM, even with the low textures, it doesn't really help. So I'm not sure what the hell is going on, but what I do know is that if you want to play this game on the multiplayer and you have a Phenom II and the 2 GB graphic card from AMD, this is simply a no, okay? Just don't buy the fucking game, alright? So that's it, thank you much for watching, and I do hope to see you soon. Goodbye.